Welcome everyone to a special edition of Good Morning Tone Town with me, the original host, the only host, the host with the most, Goldie, and some other guy over here.
What's going on? What'd you do with Alex?
I don't know, he's taking a bath.
Okay, well, have you ever watched this show before, Goldie?
Watch the show. I am the show. What are you talking about?
Comes in first. First of all, I've been trying to dial into the show for like the past 15 minutes, and you left me waiting in the lobby, which I did not appreciate as the co-host.
That's an old trick I learned from Sinatra. You gotta warm up your co-hosts. Let them know who's boss.
It's working really well for you. So here I'm going to ask you to do something, which a pedal such as yourself should be able to do. We always start the show with an A chord. So go ahead, play an A chord.
A chord? I play all the chords.
There, Tone Town has officially started. Goldie, it's an honor. I'm honored to be here with you because I'm a big fan. Despite your rough treatment of me at the beginning of the show here, I'm actually a fan of yours. But what are you doing here, for real?
I'm here to say season's greetings, I guess. Merry Christmas to everyone. I don't want Super Danger to know that, but I want to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. I hope you spend a lot of good time with your family, and I hope you guys have a good Christmas too. Again, that's not normally what I like to say, but that's what I'm here for. But I'm here to promote a new video coming out. Tom and I worked very hard on this video. He came down, flew down here, and we had a great time making a great action-packed video, and it's coming out in a couple weeks, yeah.
I'm so excited. It was a blast. It was awesome to hang with you and Cosmo and Super Danger in person in Super Danger Studios. So I'm excited to see how that video came out. You're all right, Goldie. You know what? You're all right.
I am all right. Of course I'm all right. Look at me. Look at you. Look at me. Who do you think people are going to go see? You or me?
Time will tell. Time will tell. We'll see.
I got fuzz. I got verve. I got spike. I got pizzazz. I got it all.
The golden fleece, baby.
Yeah, those Mythos guys really knew what they were doing when they made me.
They did. One of a kind. Broke the mold after you. Hey, you know what? I got a show to do today. It's Friday. Is your boss around by any chance, Super Danger? Or are you the boss?
Yeah, I think he'll be here in one more second, but I got a question for you.
Oh, good.
How come you haven't sent me a holiday card yet, a Christmas card? Huh? What am I, chopped liver?
It fell between the seats of my car. I meant to send it. I'm going to go check.
Yeah, likely story. All right. Well, I think Super Danger's on his way over here. Wait a second. You got some questions for me down here?
The Gold Diggers is the Goldie fan club. I love that. What do you think about that?
A perfect name. That's how it feels when I interact with anyone. What are they trying to get out of me?
That's right. Eddie, when am I making out with Goldie? Probably never. I'm going to put that on the never list. But you know what they say. Never say never. the hard-boiled cop from the mean streets of Hell's Kitchen. That's pretty much Goldie with a little Frank Sinatra, like he said at the beginning. But Goldie, I owe you a Christmas card, and I'm sorry that it has been lost in transit. I will fix that. For the time being, just read Cosmo's card that I sent him because I think it made it there.
Cosmo? That lying, no good, dirty little bear. That sack of fur. I'm going to give him something to it, if you know what I mean.
Give him the business. Give him the business, Goldie.
Well, as soon as you get my card, I'll send you my card, which is an invitation to a Goldie New Year's dinner. Black tie, wear a tux if you own one.
I've got one. I got to dust it off, but I'll see what I can do once I get that invitation. Thanks. That's nice of you.
It's going to be quite the affair. There's going to be a music performance by me. There's going to be jokes by me, and of course, I'll be the MC of the nice festivities. Super Danger. I think he's going to be serving drinks in the back.
Bussing tables. He and I will bust tables while you run the night. It'll be good. We'll make sure it works out well.
Yeah, Aerosmith's coming by. It's going to be quite a night.
Wow. Coming out of recent retirement, just for your Goldie New Year's Eve party. I'm not surprised you have that power to get.
He owes me a couple of favors.
I'm sure he does. Steven and Joe, They'll be there.
They're
I
good
can't,
guys. They
good guy.
can't hold their liquor, but they're good guys.
I've heard that.
That's not anyone's fault. No one can really hold their liquor like me.
That's true. It's true. I mean, you know, your metal, your aluminum case. You're all aluminum case,
Goldie,
one knob.
Goldie, who is that? Uh-oh. I gotta go. Hey, you're live streaming? You moron, get out of here. See ya. Oh my God, guys, I'm so sorry.
There he is. Super dangerous.
So unprofessional. So unprofessional. What a cad.
You know, I mean, we try to keep things as unprofessional as possible here in Tone Town.
Was he polite?
He was. He was.
Good. In his own way.
In his own way, he was. He didn't want me. He doesn't want you to know, but he's got a good heart. I'll tell you.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Doubt it. He's the worst thing that's ever happened to the channel.
Or the best. Depends on who you ask.
From his point of view.
If you ask him, it's the best. What's up, man?
Yeah. So, real quick notes about Goldie too. So, I created him because I was sick of talking to myself in the studio. Tom knows this. We've gone over this a lot of times. And I got like enslaved to like his character growth. And it like made me, which is why it would take like 2.5 months to make a video. Cause it's like, for Goldie, he's got to be thinking. And he actually like, it's funny. I would read these stories about, authors when they would write their fictional characters and they would say stuff like, well, I didn't want him to, the character to go through this journey, but, I couldn't really do much about that. The character had to. I'm like, what are they talking about? I'm like, it's your book. But now I'm like, oh, I get it. It's like when you build this character and it completely like tanked my views, my click-through rate. Like absolutely, like I was on a pretty good click until the Guitar of Darkness video. And then it just like went straight down because it was so weird and so it's still like even now it's still people are like what is this video? And I'm like, I know it's not a normal video.
Can we be sure that that wasn't my fault because I did make an appearance in the Guitar of Darkness video? So
what I will say is funny is that it's not due to you. You only enhanced it, Tom. You know that. Is that there are people that's their first video of my channel that they see, which I think is like absolutely insane. Like not like what's the Woodrow sound like, but my guitar is possessed by a demon.
Yeah, and you buried it in your backyard.
All right. I mean, the review doesn't start until like 8 minutes in. Like that's more than the average watch time of all my videos.
We are not here for the review. We are here for the Goldie, Cosmo, and Alex saga. At least I am. Which is funny because you probably had people who saw that first and then they're disappointed when you're out there just playing guitar and showing off gear. Like, well, where's Goldie?
No one's more disappointed than me. So it's...
Right, the king of disappointment.
Yeah. Okay, so there's something I need to ask you about. I met with my uncle, my wife's uncle. Right, I had a couple reels of him, and I shot him in his studio. He's a great musician. He's a great luthier too. Repairs, pre-war Martin guitars kind of stuff. And he was talking to me about Behringer because the Behringer just released their new Klon, and he was working for the company. He was a rep for like Aphex back in the day when like Aphex was like the oral exciter, like that was like their big product. And then Behringer released like essentially the same thing a year later. And they went into court and apparently they opened up the case and showed it. The judge was going to rule in Behringer's to side with Behringer, but then they opened the case and was like part for part. And on the chip, it said created by Aphex. And they're like, it is the exact same thing. They ruled in favor of Aphex and Behringer had to pay damages, of course. So where does the line between ripoff and homage, where does it land? I don't know where it lands because sometimes I feel good and sometimes I feel not so good.
It's interesting. I think it depends on what you're talking about. I mean, pedals, I feel like pedals and like rack gear, there's a lot of, I think it's different. I've thought about this too, because I mean, you're holding a G&L Strat right now, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, so that's got Leo Fender all over it, quite literally. But you know, the courts have decided that shapes. Oh, Gibson's kind of a weird one, but like, you know, the Strat shape is not necessarily. It's so widely known that it cannot be claimed by one company, and you can copy it however you might want to copy it. Now, I don't know how that translates to like mixers. I mean, because the first time I became aware of Behringer was like, you'd go to Guitar Center or something, you'd see the Mackie mixer, and then like right next to it was the exact same mixer, the exact layout, but it was Behringer, and I'm like, how's this happening? Like, what like, how, so there, I'm not well versed enough to know where the line is drawn there, but I mean, as far as the Behringer pedal, I mean, they're certainly not the first ones to emulate that Klon case or the Klon sound. I haven't heard it. Have you heard the Behringer Klon?
None of them are released in a while, so it's only these release videos that they've been doing.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, like there's no original Klons anymore, so that's certainly open market in my mind. Okay, it doesn't exist anymore. But then for things that exist but are expensive, I'm also like, all right, like, because I can't spend $10,000 on that. I'll spend, a couple hundred on it. I'm sure it's nowhere near as good, but maybe I'll just do that. But like, where is the line when it's like, if it's like a $500 pedal and then they make it for $50, or like $300 and they make it for $100, you're like, well, wait a second. Like, if you're copying exactly what that is, like, I don't know if it's like bad for the industry but it's just like it's a very weird thing for your business model to be like just about like blatantly copying other things.
So what about a company like Warm Audio? That's basically their whole thing is like homages to things. Sometimes, very directly. Other times they have to skate around things because they're not allowed to say exactly what they're emulating, but the look of it makes it very obvious.
Right.
And I have, very much enjoyed a lot of their gear.
Yeah, I have a Warm Audio preamp.
Yeah, I mean, I played their version of the OCD. I forget what they called it, the ODD.
ODD, yeah.
ODD. And it was great. It was really good, So it's like, they've kind of, they lean right into it, That's their whole thing. I don't know that Warm has like a proprietary piece of gear that they're like, hey, this is our thing. I think most of them are, if not all, are like, you want an 1176? Cool, we got, and then they make one cheaper.
Right. And so, and Sean down there brings up a good point. It's pedals don't seem as consequential, or at least like if it's a larger company, it seems less egregious. That, you know what I mean? Because if it's like just a small builder, then I'm like, well, hey, he's just a small builder kind of thing. But then like the Full Tone, which was out of production for a long time, like that's certainly seems okay. And again, the only thing where I'm always like, what? That gives me like an interesting tinge in my soul is when I read their Instagram posts or any of their social media posts. They are very forthright in how they feel that they're attacked all the time. And I'm like, yeah, it's really weird. I don't know who's in charge of their brand copy on Behringer, but it is unbelievably sensitive, I guess. I don't know. Like, I've never seen a brand like this. A brand as big as Behringer. If it was like just a guy, I'm like, I get it. It's just him. But it's like a very large company that's been around for decades. And the way they write some of their copy, I'm like, why are you guys even saying that? You should lean in. Like, if you're going to be the brand that copies other things, again, whether that's good or not is not what I'm saying here. But like, you should lean into it and say like, yeah, I'm going to, like, this is what we do. We wanted to provide this at a price point. Like them issuing all these great synths that were like these crazy vintage synths that are too expensive, too hard to find, and too hard to repair. I think it's very cool. I loved that. And they just seem so sensitive to the criticism. They would like post like reactions to like people's criticism. It's very weird. I just didn't expect that from that company. Have you guys seen that in the chat? Like, I'm like very confused by this.
I don't know that I follow Behringer on anything. I'll have to go follow them and dig in. I wasn't aware that That's what they were doing. But I think you're right. I mean, like, and that's, I think, like Warm Audio's MO is that. I mean, you read the booklets that come with the pedals, and I mean, they are very much like complementing the gear that they are emulating,
Right.
and just saying, hey, like this was a great thing, and here's our version of it, and it uses these premium components, and is laid out in a familiar way, and hope you enjoy it. And I think maybe that's why Warm doesn't get as much like or at least not that I'm aware of, like people criticizing them. They're just like, cool, the Warm Audio version's here. Like, let's check it out. As opposed
Yeah.
to
Well, and getting a actual U47 compared to a clone, it's like, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I don't have 50 G's there. And again, like I don't have anything against Behringer. I just think, like as a business model, I guess I need to know more about their product line. But the only thing that like pricked my ears up a little bit was just their Instagram. So if you guys had a chance, just go to their Instagram channel and just see kind of how they frame things. I think they open themselves up for like a very weird criticism.
maybe Alex, or somebody in the chat knows, but like I'm most like Behringer. I still like is like mixers in my mind, because that's just sort of where they always lived. And I know
Right.
that
Right.
a lot of their digital mixers, though, like do they have a relationship with Midas? Because there's a lot of crossover, and even some like interchangeability between some of their digital mixers, which like tons of touring acts are using as a like kind of affordable way to build an in-ear monitor rig. Behringer is like like the go-to almost, and then Midas would be the next one. But there's like, this seems like there's some tie there, and I don't know, maybe they're related in some way. And I also wonder, like, they were so similar to the Mackie lineup. Like, what happened there? Was there some licensing agreement? Like, I don't know. Like, because it seems like it's impossible that they could just be doing this, and existing on their own without like, talking to anybody at those companies. What do we got? Let's see. Oh, you asked what? Okay, great segue. Overwhelming response was a clone. Oh, Tyson had asked last week what his next pedal should be, and I think everybody was a resounding Klon style, and he went with the Centavo, a Warm Audio pedal. Awesome.
Yeah, they sound good, and the again, like so Sean asked earlier, like amp sim pedals. Like I'm not actually, if I was actually making a Behringer is doing immoral things, in this instance, I say no. In the past, it seemed like they were, or at least the judge decided that they were. That was in the 90s, so it's like they have a lot different leadership by now. My only thing is like, where does it draw? I'm not draw the line, because it's like, I guess I was just thinking like, what does it make me feel? And sometimes I'm like, that feels kind of not as like lower effort than what you guys might have done. But again, like nothing against someone making pedals that are hard to get or too expensive. And then for amp sim, same thing. It's like, yeah, I can't have a vintage Bassman, so I'd love a pedal that sounds like a vintage Bassman or a 55 Tweed. Like I love it. I think it's a great thing. And that's also solving a problem. When it's part for part, that's when I start to feel a little uncomfortable about it. But again, it's not my company, so all I have to do is not buy it. Like it doesn't matter.
Sure.
So, but like when it's there's been a lot of companies accused of that in the past, where they recase it essentially, and then they put their name on it. The ethics of that are sketchy, but people buy things because of a brand. They don't buy things because of anything else. All the other details there are rationalization in their head. Like people buy things for a brand. Like that's literally how it happens across every category, from food to bottled water to clothing. Like that's just how they do it. So
with guitar, do you think there's, and I'm not a pedal builder, but like there's only so many ways to go about an overdrive or a distortion or a fuzz, and it's like you can probably put them in these like pretty large categories, and then every I mean, how many tube screamer variations are there out there? How many Klon variations are there out there? How many super distortion? And the list goes on. It's like, it's to some extent, it's just like there's only so many ways you can approach that one thing, and then eventually you've got people who are just doing variations on a theme. which I think is where it seems like where pedals are, now. I mean,
Right. And I think Josh talked about that, JHS Josh. He said there's only like 5 circuits essentially, or like there's just 5 different ways. And like what overdrive pedals feel like one of their bigger ones from like a couple years ago. Like there's 5 circuits. It's like a rat circuit, a tube screamer circuit, a clon circuit, um, like a hard clipper, and then like a distortion. And that's pretty much it.
Right. And then everything else is just a variation on those things. There's obviously different little tweaks you can make, but it's all kind of in those same general categories, I guess.
And that's where like okay, so like my thought now on pedals is like a brand sound. So UAFX actually is great, especially since it's digital. UAFX has a sound to their pedals, like from the Enigmatic all the way to the Lion. Like there's a certain sound and frequency that it always hits, and that to me is now the new way to decide what you like about a brand, like the sound of that. Because the guy who's in charge of the final tweaks to make it fit the EQ of their brand, like he's gonna have his fingerprint on it. That's why, all the Bartel amps sound the same. That's why the old Tone King sounded the same. It's like there was the tweak that made it sound a certain way, which is why I love, certain brands. I'm like, this is the EQ that I want, because there's certain ways that they'll do it that just sound right from that. And like people will go to war in comments over that's the worst compressor pedal I've ever heard. Like mine is the best, and you'll pick sides. And, but I think that's like a kind of the way I'm starting to think about it. It's like, what's their take on it? Because there's going to be their little fingerprint on the pedal tone, or amp, or guitar.
Yeah. Steve says it's like mastering of the pedal line. I think that's a good way to put it. Totally. Yeah. Absolutely.
And then like PRS actually is a great example. PRS guitars feel the same, at least when they're the same scale length, like a 245 scale length, but they all feel the same. The neck, like the weight from SE all the way up to the core. Now it feels nicer when it's the core and the private stock, but it still will feel the same way. That's to me is like really impressive, because it's hard to do that. Because all my Squire classic vibes wildly different. I'm like, what is going on with this thing?
Yeah, if you get, if you get a good one, that's like a steal. But then there's quite a wide variance there for sure.
Octafuzz.
Octafuzz. Love the Octafuzz. That's cool.
Is it I have 2. I have a Proctavia from Voodoo Labs, an old one, and then I have the Argonaut. Those are fun pedals. I love the Octave. I think I'm gonna do a video on Octave fuzzes, because I think it's it's really hard to know when you should use them.
Yeah, I have one taking up a spot on one of the boards over here. It's the it's JHS Supreme, and I'm like, does this need to be on here? Because it's like when I can think of like 1.5 times that I would probably use it, but it's really cool when those times come up and you can use it.
Right.
Which is not often.
Yeah, let's play Purple Haze again.
For me.
But like, there's ways. I mean, who does a great like Ariel Posen? I think.
Yeah.
Really great way for him. Like when he does, his octave up or sub octave stuff, really musical. And instead of trying to shy away from like the gate, the noise gate aspect on a octave, like leaning into it and using it as part of building a percussive sound, I think is really cool.
Yeah. Definitely. What do we got here in the chat?
Right. Yes, Sean, exactly. Like when do you use it? I would say like when you want to accentuate something, that is it. If you're and playing it quietly, I think is the key, because at full, there's not dynamics on fuzz. It's like it's a fuzz, or it's because the nature of the chip. So playing it quietly and delicately at its lowest like allowable gate level, I think is so fun. And then obviously you build from there for a solo. But anytime you're trying to accentuate something, or like doubling a lead line with an octave fuzz, I love doing that when I mix. It's because it just adds a texture, and I see another octave too.
Fingers. I like dropping the pick and using one too.
So that brings me feel of guitars. That brings me to my final point. And I see you're bragging with what you got in your hands there.
Not at all. Not at all.
I want a 335 for in 2025. I want a 335. That should be my T-shirt. And I have no idea if a Epiphone is going to feel as good or an Eastman is going to feel as good as a Gibson. And is it inspired by Gibson?
So this one I had kind of a funny story actually. I do work for Premier Guitar, and it got sent to me. It's an Epiphone 355, which I think is part of their inspired by Gibson thing. But it blew me away because it's got Gibson pickups, Gibson hardware, Gibson wiring. It's got the Gibson headstock. It's got as I smash it into my desk. It's got the Grover tuners. But here's the thing: the rest of the guitar is made in China. It's like a $1,200 or $1,300 retail guitar. I mean, these pickups retail for $600 on their own. It feels great. It looks great, and it's got all the Gibson, things that matter inside of it. So I loved it, and I wanted to buy it, which has never happened in a video I've done for them before. And I was adamant. I was like, can I please buy this guitar? And they were like, no. They're selling like hotcakes. You got to send that one over to the Gibson showroom in Los Angeles. And I was saddened. But I took a picture of the serial number because, like we said before, with the Classic Vibe series from Squier, it's like when you get a good one, it's really good. But if you go buy another one, all bets are off as to, and I don't know that to be the case with these. I've only played this one. Spoiler alert. So I sent it back, and I kept asking. I said, hey, what's the discounted price? Can I just buy this? Can I buy, And they came back and like, hey, and the discounted price was actually was great. And I was like, okay, I'll take one. Kind of like being nervous. And lo and behold, they sent me the exact same guitar that I had for the video. So it's back. It's here. And I'm not letting go of it because I actually really like it. But I like you, Alex, like a 335 is, because we talked about Les Pauls last week, where it's like, it's kind of like something that we haven't really connected with. But man, like something about this that is just like, it's like the guitar, it's you need it. So I'm not going to stop you.
I saw that inspired by, it's just like, that's the one I was looking at. I'm like, Marty McFly played that and saved the space-time continuum, and now you have it, and that's really annoying to me.
You'd sound much better playing it than I would, but what is 335 must-have? Oh, yeah. I agree, Sean. I'd love to hear Alex play a 335. Steve, the 339, like, it just looks and feels weird to me. I don't know if you ever played one of those, Alex. It's the smaller bodied, like it looks like, they got shrunken in the dryer a little bit, which, oh yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that size. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the
and I love, this is what made me want a 335, this D'Angelico.
Yeah.
I was like, I love it. Now this neck does not feel like a Gibson neck. This feels like a D'Angelico neck, which are much flatter.
Frames by Seb. Thank you for pointing out that Alex's microphone is always louder. I have noticed this as well, and it is not something we can control in this YouTube live stream shorts format, unfortunately.
Yeah, not yet. We're gonna fix that actually, which leads us to in 2025. We have all these promises. In 2025, we're gonna have a separate channel for Tom and I to gab and just to gab and hang, and also have proper sound. So we'll have a microphone. We'll have. You know what I'm gonna do too?
How's that?
Make intro music like a 90s.
Oh yeah.
Like, get your coffee and get ready for Good Morning Tone Town, and then have a little animated curtain pull.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm talking to this, but it's not plugged into anything. Is that helping?
Nothing is real. Nothing is real.
Oh, could people be yelling? SM7 is probably not plugged into a cloud lifter, and that's why we can't hear you. Like,
wait a second.
It's not plugged in.
Oh, a Firebird style. See, that's another one. I want a Firebird too, Sean. Like inspired by Gibson Firebird 5, 7, whatever the one was with both pickups and the vibrola, right?
Dude, if you can go play one,
Maestro.
there's a Gibson showroom or something down there in Nashville, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Dude,
email them. My
try.
name is Alex, and I have a mental disorder, and I'd like to play some of your guitars. I have a problem. My wife says I'm losing touch with reality.
Right, as they hover over the delete button, like,
block this sender. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, did you guys get my cookies that I sent? You know, that's real.
Right. But how do you feel about it's saying Epiphone on there? I personally don't care because I feel like I'm not necessarily it's not a requirement for me to have a Gibson. Like it's not like this is holding me back in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, it sets the bar lower for me, which is good when I go to play something. So if someone's like, you got an Epiphone, it's good first try, and then I feel better about what I do.
I guess I always, I put on a brave face, right? This Squire is just as good as my G&L. And there's a scale. Okay, here's what flipped me. Playing that 1955 Tears Martin, and then I went into a studio and I played a 1933 D18. And I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I get why there are tiers that are inaccessible to me, and I get why people like vintage. I used to think it was not a bunch of hogwash, but I used to think the difference wouldn't be discernible for just an old crumb bum like me, right? There's no way I could figure it out. I'm not sensible. I don't have the sensibilities nor the taste level to appreciate this. Like, why give me like a 68 Bollinger? Just give me, some sparkling white and I'll be on my way. However, there is a level in guitars. Just like of course there's, just like everything in the world, there are levels to this, as Floyd Mayweather is so keen to say. And the level of a Gibson custom shop was probably tangible. Now, I'm not saying my Squires aren't good guitars. That's the other thing. It's like the floor is so high now that even the most affordable gear is pretty good. But you can kind of trick yourself into thinking like, that's not better. It's like it probably you can accomplish a lot here, but like it probably will feel better.
It does.
And I hate saying that, but it's like it probably will feel better. Like my SE guitars don't feel as good as my core PRS guitars. There's not that same care.
It's true, but like for me, it's like, well, I don't know if a 335 or a 355 is like in my mind, it's a guitar that I would really like to have and connect with and play and everything. And it's like to find that out and go on that journey, something that is, much more affordable than a real one or a vintage one is a great way to try that out and see, and then down the line, if this becomes like, my end all be all, then sure. But maybe it doesn't. And then I'm just like, yeah, if I need that sound, I can get pretty close, with this. Right. But you're right. Like I picked up a PRS McCarty with the wraparound tail bridge, not the 594, but just a straight up McCarty in a music shop in Chicago Music Exchange. Dude, I picked it up and it was like mind blowing. I was like, okay.
All right, I get it. I know it's annoying. It's annoying to admit it. You're like, why am I even?
Yeah,
it's so annoying.
Yeah.
But there's just no way getting around. And it's like if the best players in the world all say they prefer their vintage guitars, like, are they wrong or am I wrong? No, I'm not. Again, like the floor is really good. Like I still love my Squires. I play them all the time. But it's like, would I prefer top tier gear? Like, of course, everyone would. Like, I only want the best. But okay. So this is what I'm going to do then. I'll pitch someone to be like, let me try a 335 style guitar, just to be like, is this for me? Because I think that'd be a good thing. It's like I want to try and I want to see if I'll still enjoy it. I mean, the thing is, like, if I've never had 68 Bollinger, would I know that what I'm missing out on? Of course not.
Probably not. Yeah.
Right.
It's a good.
Does the
entry point.
goldfish wonder like what's the Caribbean like? Of course not. The goldfish is just happy that there's
know.
food in the fishbowl.
That's right, Sean. To I feel like I have to defend my earlier PRS. It was a double cut McCarty, by the way, because that to me is I'm not a single cut PRS guy. Got to be the double.
The Fender Player Stratocasters are good. Like they're good. Like that's what's and like it already starts off at really good, especially if you get a setup. And I mean, the biggest problems with more budget and lower price guitars is the fretwork is usually really bad, and that makes it not as fun to play. And it's something as simple as it's $120 probably to get polished and beveled correctly and fret leveled across the full fretboard, but that'll do a lot. But then also the pickups usually just have bizarre, especially the wiring has a bizarre taper, something happens where you just don't feel like you're getting the full spectrum of what you would normally want. Yeah. But even that, like my Squiers that I play a lot, like they're still pretty good, man.
Yeah. That was my thing with this one. It's got all of it literally from the Gibson custom shop, wiring, pickups, all of it. So it's like, that whole argument of where the sound of an electric guitar actually comes from. Maybe the tone wood doesn't matter. So
the ghetto custom shop. That's a funny phrase, Steve. Sire Larry Carlton, yeah, like Larry Carlton, that Sire series, man, like people say really good things about him, and I'd love to try those too. But I feel like I've got so many guitars covered already. Like the thing, I mean, is a 335 that different than a 339? You know what I mean? Because D'Angelico, and they don't make that model anymore. That one has what do they call Seymour Duncan USA made pickups in it, and for a while it was only like $600. And it had Seymour Duncan as like a set lever and a 59.
Right. How much are those pickups if you go buy them?
Like $300.
Right.
No, maybe more. Maybe 400.
Yeah,
and like the guitar was 600. I'm like, wait a second. Right. But it was a Sweetwater exclusive, and I was like, guys, it's on sale. There's only like 5 left. I have no idea if anyone bought it, but I was like, oh, yeah. Now they make them with these Supro bolt buckers, which Supro has a proprietary. How do you say it? Proprietary. There we go. That's the word. Sorry. Proprietary pickups now. They probably get them white labeled from Court, honestly.
Yeah.
There's probably nothing wrong with them, but they're not hand wound Seymour Duncans,
On the new channel and the new show, we should do an entire episode about Cortac or Court and how they make literally everything. Right. Anton, nice to meet you. Denmark. Amazing. Always wanted to go there.
We're international, baby. Between Steve and Anton, and then Tyson, that's Canada, Scotland, Denmark, and then Sean, you're in the Northeast, right, or Midwest? Well, we got
all corners of the globe.
Yeah, the sun never sets on Tonetown.
Brazil. Hey.
Oh, nice, Brazil. Yeah, baby, multi-hemispheric.
I love it.
It's pretty bad here. Yeah, it's 18 degrees in Nashville, which is crazy cold.
18?
This morning it was. I think it's probably
20. It was 20 here in Detroit. That's wild. Where
are we at right now? Okay, now it's 28. I mean, that's pretty cold for Nashville, man.
John's in the People's Republic of California. That's awesome.
John. Hey, I was worried about this tsunami for you, John.
Me too.
I'm happy it turned out to be another nothing burger, and nothing ever happens.
Yeah, I saw that. Lithuania?
Eastern Washington, beautiful.
Wow, man. Asia.
Check in. Clock in, Asia.
Yeah.
Tonetown's a state of Lithuania. Yeah, baby. I can't believe that we have that you and I talking appeals to really like that's how cool guitars are, right?
Yes, it's true.
Like guitars are so cool. They're willing to listen to
us.
A couple of schlubs.
The only thing that's been played in this entire thing was an A chord at the beginning on this. That's it. I haven't touched it since. It's a total prop. It's an absolute prop. Like it's not. It, you know, could be a cardboard cutout for all I care.
So the thing that I should say, like why I want a 335 too. I saw a video of the guitarist. I'm gonna do a video on this guy too. He's the guitarist from Earth, Wind and Fire. Vernon, I can't remember his last name. Insane guitarist, right? Like he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he was playing a 335 at Norman's, and he was doing this backbeat. You hear that? And he was doing this backbeat on Serpentine Fire. He was like, and he did a lot cleaner than me, but he had this beautiful sound and it was so relaxed. He was on a neck pickup. I'm like, is that what a 335 sounds like? I'm like, that sounds awesome. I'm like, and he was just playing through like a deluxe reverb, and it was just straight in, and it sounded beautiful. And I'm playing through my micro cube, but it was like the great groove, and that's what like spurred in me. It's like, that's your next guitar, or a version of that, if you can handle the embarrassment and shame.
I'm here to tell
But I'm
you.
not. I mean, like I see guys all up and down Broadway, Squires. You know, like guys aren't playing their custom shops. You know, on the road.
Yeah. Why? Yeah, and that's part of it too. I mean, there's the practical side of it also. You know, I just smashed this into my desk, and not that I don't care, but I mean, if it was a vintage instrument that cost me 30 grand, I would care a lot more than I do now. And it still sounds. I don't know if that's coming through, but it sounds great. I love it. Feels good. And the frets.
Oh, Al McKay. I'm sorry, that's who it was.
Al McKay. Who's Vernon?
I was thinking of Vernon is who? I don't know who Vernon is, but it's not Vernon.
Vern? You know what I mean, Vern?
Al McKay. It's 5 degrees Celsius. Oh, 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Brutal. France.
Welcome.
Oh, how do we say welcome in France?
Verdine White. You said Vernon. Verdine
Vernon
White.
Reed. That's probably what I was thinking. Vernon Reed.
Wait,
yeah.
John said, I was going to say, yeah, Vernon Reed from Living Color, like different band. Cool. Good band.
That's what I was saying. That's probably what I was thinking of. That was just the name that popped.
Great
Al
band.
McKay. An absolute bonjour. Right. Bonjour, mon frère, the Dugsy. Great. Yeah, and also like, of course, like he's like a killer player too. But our 30-day guitar challenge. Remember that thing?
Yeah.
It's fallen a little bit. I think we'll jump back on in January. We'll be a little bit more specific. Just one thing. Okay. Yeah. We just gotta practice. I was practicing like 5 different things. Like this is terrible.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm gonna do a follow-up video to my original video in which I highlight my failures on practicing every day.
But anyway, so that's what jump started it. And I that's like the danger in seeing someone really good play something. You're like,
sure,
I'd like to, because in the back of your head, you're like, I'll get like 50% of where they're at. You've been practicing your butt off. Oh, John, see, I have been. I just had Thanksgiving, travel. We had 12-hour drive, so it's just tough to get in practice on that.
Uncle Larry. If it involves me trying to impersonate his playing, no. But I'm not familiar. What's the trend, Alex? Enlighten me, or Steve. What's the impersonation of Uncle Larry trend?
I think he encouraged everyone to impersonate him. I didn't catch what homeschool episode that was, but everyone's doing Uncle Larry impersonations, and there's one guy who sounds exactly like him, played almost exactly like him, and he like started off by showing everyone his like Kia. Is used to know Kia, got it from my buddy, blah, blah. And he's like had the accent down to. I mean, he's also I think from like either Southern Ohio or Kentucky area, something like that. So it's really, really good. So some of these are I'm really impressed with it. They nail all these little mannerisms. Like, oh, I never would have thought to do that. Like there's all. He only does this face. He's like,
That's awesome.
See that?
'Ih.
83. No changes done to it. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Nailing
But like
it. Alex,
again, like
Alex
I'm doing a
already knows.
terrible. Some of these guys are doing so good. Where I'm like, wow, I'm not gonna try. Like I'm gonna bomb it.
Right.
I can't do it.
Who knew it was such a widespread skill of being able to impersonate him?
You know, and then they do. Then they go like this, and they're like, all right, Mike over here says, baseman 65 or 68. I gotta tell you, I was on the road. It must have been 5 years ago, and you get to the venue. They don't answer the question. It's so funny.
That's awesome.
All original, yeah. I love it. All original. Even though, like, for his guitars that he has that are all original, it is unbelievable.
Yes, it is. Along these lines, I wanted to at one point I was like, I should be Rick Beato for Halloween in a video, but not address it. Just like the jacket, dye my hair white. I'll get like a green screen of his background and be Rick in a video, but I've decided against that, probably for the best. We're trying to record an acoustic guitar, and I'm understanding another. Oh yeah, I mean that's Alex is great for solid guitar tone in videos. It's not an easy thing to do for sure. Acoustics they're a big challenge.
Acoustics are hard, so this is what I would recommend, Dugsy. Or is it Duget? Sorry, I'm just trying to be respectful of the French pronunciation there. If you can do it, if you can get a couple of small condensers, do the old XY right at the 12th fret, about a foot away, right? So it's going to be right here, pointing right where the neck meets the body, and have it in XY, and just strum a couple chords. And you have to be really cognizant of what you're playing out. So like an acoustic, obviously, like sound is coming out. I mean, it's coming out almost everywhere, but most of it's coming out this way. But whatever it hits is going to bounce off of the front of the guitar and back into the mic. So don't worry so much about soundproofing anything behind you. Worry about where the soundproofing right behind the mic. So if you have anything you can put there, whether it's a blanket or whatever, and then if you can get anything above you, because bouncing off the ceiling would like absolutely shatter the top end. So just try to get anything over you. One time I put a blanket on a bunch of brooms. It didn't matter because it was a terrible performance, but the sound quality, I was like, that wasn't terrible sound quality.
Yeah.
But you really gotta, whatever you can get, even if it's a blanket, just something above you, and then something in front of you, like a mattress or a bunch of towels or a coat behind the mic. So if this is the mic, whatever's behind it, and then if you don't have, just hang it on something, and then you should be pretty good. And then try to be, and the hardest part is you have to be even in your playing. It comes, especially with acoustic. Don't have the body, have it away from your body. Let the back resonate. And then as you play, try not to have your hand rest on it either. So you would play it like here, right? Out away from you. And try to be really even. Again, there's all these acoustic guitar. It's probably 100 times harder to record than electric.
It is, and there's no. I mean, there are ways, and I've done it. With some of the Fishman Aura like mic modeling stuff, but with recording electric guitar, there are so many ways, like the aux box, the Quilter direct amp, your plugins, the Strymon Iridium, all those types of things where you can skip all the challenges of micing a cabinet and get pretty close. With an acoustic, depending on what you're doing, especially if it's a solo acoustic guitar performance, like it's tough. You gotta nail it in all those ways Alex highlighted, which is good practice. And highlights playing live, is very different than playing in a studio. because a lot of things don't translate. So, are you laughing at me?
In what way? In what way? Enlighten us.
Habits, bad habits that you develop on stage, and you go and you try to do them in a studio, and you're like, that is not working. Even just the way you hold the guitar or how you play, it just doesn't work. It just does not translate. It might work really well for performing live, or maybe it doesn't even work live, but nobody's calling you out on it because it just happens and nobody records it, and then you just get away with it. Could be that too.
Daniel, that's another great way. If you don't want to deal with the stereo, just do one.
That's usually my MO. One mic.
Just
avoid any issues.
Rephase, yeah.
Yeah.
It's annoying. I mean, it is annoying to mix stereo stuff. It's like really annoying. Because I'm just not good at it. So I'm like, now I'm back on.
Just depends on what you're doing with it too. I mean, if it's going to be an acoustic buried in a track, I would argue you probably don't need a stereo recording of it. But if it's the thing, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to have.
Right. So Daniel's highlights that like finding what you think a guitar should sound like is also really important. Like I've finally kind of nailed in what I think a good electric guitar should sound like. And I'm hopeful to get an acoustic guitar so I can start recording that and being like, what do I want my acoustic guitar to sound like? I haven't not nailed what a vocal should sound like yet, though. I'm really having a hard time on mixing and recording techniques, and I only have one mic, so I should probably get some more mics. But that's been really like when I recorded you singing, I was like, yes, this 87 sounds great on your voice. Like I loved the way it came through. It was nice and crisp. The highs were really articulate, a lot of nice mids. But then when I sing into it, I'm like, I don't think I should be singing this kind of mic. I think I need a different mic.
It could be, yeah. I mean, that's huge. Like mic selection for a vocalist is like it's massive. If you and I've not gone through that exercise. It like a little bit like U47 seems to be like that style. It was. I mean, I loved the 87 though. That sounded awesome when I sang into it. I remember that. But like I'm looking over there because I have a U47 copy sitting over there. But that and the non-scientific testing I've done, I feel like is the good spot for me. But it makes a big difference. And I would imagine, I mean, it's the same thing for miking guitars, miking amp cabs. I mean, it's like it depends on the player as to what type of guitar player you are, what tones you're going for, as to what microphone will work the best. And I mean, it's very nuanced, it's a rabbit hole, never ends.
And it's right. And like, again, like I can't get away from like, I need to get better at singing. Like it's just really what it comes down to, because all the people I know sound good on certain mics is because they're great singers, not because the mic.
And credit to your playing, that's you're good. You're good. So you're selling yourself short as a singer, but it does have a lot to do with what's going into it too, because like that's the core of it. If it's a great performance, whether it's vocally or guitar, and it's and there's not like massive problems with whatever you did, like terrible digital distortion or something, but like if it's just cleanly recorded and it's a great performance, I mean, that's all that matters, really. The rest of it is that extra 5% that you can dial in, hopefully with better gear or different gear. But trust me, if the performance sucks.
Lost your audio. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
yeah.
So JP Morgan Chase was calling me.
Actually, you know what's interesting is like I'm like, oh, like different guitar will make you play differently. Oh, bye, Tom. Anyway, I'll keep going. So different guitar will make you play differently. I wonder if a different mic would make me sing differently, because as you're hearing it, you're hearing a lot of the microphone too. Like you're hearing the EQ. So I wonder if that works for singing. I guess it's just me now. That was a work call for Tom. Samuel Dice, do you think men should be men in a certain way and follow Jesus Christ? I'm going to hold off my religious views on the guitar channel. That would be a different YouTube channel for me. But if anyone wants to talk about religion one-on-one with me, I'm happy to do that. Although I'm not gonna I'm not gonna open that can of worms on a guitar live stream. Bono records an SM58 to this day. That's interesting.
I'm back. I'm back.
Killer voice. Welcome back, Tom. We missed you.
I missed you. I heard you asking as I was being kicked out by my phone whether or not a microphone makes you sing differently.
Does it?
Yeah, totally. You know, like I demo a lot of things into this, and it's a SM7 is cool, but it's it's a different singing experience. And I've heard that about Bono on the 58. Like, do you think for highest hairdo? I'm working on it. Check this out. I had somebody ask me yesterday. They total non sequitur, was stop me in the middle of me talking. Like, how do you get that? Like, do you go like that? And I'm like, what? Like, so apparently
a lot of it, we have to say the disclosure is that when you have your head near the top of a front facing camera, the camera distortion will stretch it. So it's not, here, watch this. That's like about where I'm at, my poor balding head. That's about where I'm at, right? God, look at how far my hairline goes on this camera.
It does. It stretches that out too.
Right. Again, like if you want to know what my hair really looks like, go to my YouTube channel. It's like, just a vanity. Someone, I posted that thing where it's like, hey, you got to put your face on a thumbnail because that's what people are clicking on. They're clicking on a person. I want that person. I want that person to talk to me. That's literally what YouTube is. And some guys were saying that's not true. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Like, it is true. All the data shows that. It's like very obvious to see that. But then I've started thinking, I'm like, so like YouTube is just, it's not like it's so easy to dip into the vanity site, but at the same time, if your hair doesn't look good, like very few people will click on it. It's like, so it's showbiz. It's entertainment, right? Sinatra wore a tux. All right, I'm not Sinatra, but
you're wearing tuxes in Tone Town.
Oh, New Year's Tone Town. We're wearing tuxes.
New Year's Eve marathon. 12
or
hours.
Just whatever the Tone Town is closest to yeah. New Year's. Oh, that would be our first horizontal too. Maybe we'll see.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll have a tech meeting with the production department. Get them on the horn.
Sean, that's so funny. The camera adds a couple inches, right? It adds a lot, actually. It adds a couple pounds, adds a couple inches. Sean, yeah, I think I look homeless. I will say this. A new haircut, the proper haircut being properly groomed and trimmed, the world treats you differently. There's just no way getting around that.
It's true.
So I am all for it, especially if you're going to be posting more videos, Sean. Do it. It's like select your character in Street Fighter. Wait a second. What's that a reference to? It's squirrely hair season.
Winter.
Oh, hold the mic. Got it. The 27th? Is that December 27th? Should we wear tuxes on the 27th? Tux 27th?
I don't know. I may not be in Tone Town on the 20th. We have to have the production meeting. I got a gig.
Okay. Yeah.
I got a gig that night. I don't know what time the sound check is, so we'll see.
Got it. See, I'm jealous of you being able to say that. It's such a very cool. You know what I mean?
I'm saying.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, that's like a very cool thing to say.
It is. Yeah, it's a big gig. I don't know what time sound check is. I got to see. Let's check the run of show. Let's see. Yeah, I'm singing 2 songs at night, so it's not that cool. I don't even get to bring a guitar. It's just me singing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, with a band?
It's with this violin group. But they have a DJ. It's cool. So I'm doing a Christmas tune, and then I'm doing a Phantom of the Opera tune. My other life coming back. But I was thinking about pitching them, me bringing this, because it's it's very Christmassy red, even though it's a post Christmas show.
Love the idea. Let's save that for next time.
yeah, totally. Yes, that's exactly. Great, just great. We're gonna do that. Not this time. We're gonna do it.
Love that idea.
I have played guitar with them though, which is so it's not a total left field thing. So it's I got a gig that day too, perform in front of my TV. Awesome. All right.
Whiskey, yeah. And I'll do a hot toddy in the morning, but I don't know if I can just go straight whiskey.
Wait, what? I missed that.
So
I missed that.
Sean is saying tuxedos and a glass of whiskey.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And I can go. I gotta have a little bit of a morning feel to the drink, so I'll do a hot toddy, or I'll do what's a Bailey's and coffee. I'll do something like that. Although doing that with a tux, that would look stupid, wouldn't it? So I'd have to get a glass.
You could get away with the hot toddy; it'd be the right color, but the Bailey's and coffee wouldn't. I don't think that'd
that is no good.
No bueno.
Okay, so I gotta get a special. I gotta get a special glass for that then. I'll do it for you guys.
Whiskey and cornflakes.
Are aliens real? If you believe in them, then they're real. That's
right.
How I view.
That's absolutely.
That's
a good. I feel like Tone Town went down some roads today. That's the back room of Tone Town. We talk about aliens.
Just had to get some dinner. Good. I hope it was satiating. Just like Tone Woods. Okay, so we'll think about that. We'll figure out when we're gonna do our tux. Maybe we'll make it an evening one. I'm far more apt to drink at night.
Yeah, that could get dangerous. Great, New Year's themed whiskey fueled Tone Town.
Oh man, I gotta have a producer on site. Yeah. If I start going on a weird rant.
Yeah.
And anyways,
just our wives texting us. Don't bad. Don't
stop saying that. Saying that. You're gonna get demonetized.
And another thing, you guys hear about this?
You know who's really holding me down? Like, don't say it.
Pulling the cord on the
feed gets cut.
Yeah. Power goes out.
Technical difficulties.
Main breaker on the house, just shut it off.
Okay, Daniel, enjoy work. Let me know how that acoustic recording goes.
Yes. All right. Should we wrap this? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's it for us, guys. So, well, anything to plug, Tom?
Anything to plug? You know what? I did a video this past week about modifying very expensive guitars, which I feel like, would have fit into some of the things we discussed today. So go check that out and weigh in and let me know what you think. Or, should cheap guitars in the ghetto custom shop, as was referenced earlier, be the only thing you ever to open up and change anything on? So that's my pitch.
And I did a really fun video for Digitech, actually. So if you guys want to check that out, I was really happy with the arrangements that I did in it. So if you want to see some weird sounds out of a guitar, check it out. So thanks so much for coming by, guys. Again, my name is Alex, as your co-host.
Tom, your other co-host.
And we'll see you guys out there on the internet. Thanks so much, guys. Take it easy.